For someone who has, say, an upcoming large currency exposure, what advice would you give them, even before they're considering executing the transaction? What's your sort of top 3 tips that someone should do whilst doing their research and due diligence for an upcoming large transaction?
One of the main things to do is I get so many private individuals that come on to me kind of last minute when the property purchase has been completed, funds are in their account, prices at a good level, and they want to get everything set up within a couple of hours, which is doable, but it's quite stressful for them and for us at the same time. So one of the key ones would be to get everything in place ready, to make sure that you've got your foreign exchange account open with the provider. To make sure that you've got all the necessary documentation in place. Because of anti-money laundering regulations in the UK, we have to do source of funds on anything over 10,000. Yeah. So I'd make sure you've got all that documentation in place. If you're selling a property in the UK, it would quite often be that you need to show the property sale contract, normally with a signature on it. So just make sure that all that paperwork's in place, the account's set up and ready to go, just to avoid any panic and trying to, if the price is at a good level, you're in a position to take advantage of it. I would also make sure, one of the things that quite often clients do is, if they sell a property they're buying overseas, they might be abroad, and when they actually come to do the conversion, they can't move the large amount of funds suddenly. So they'll be they could be in Australia, they could be in the States or anywhere in Europe, and suddenly they need to move the money to complete the transfer. But the UK bank or their bank won't let them do it. So I'd say just to try and speak to your bank before you go, perhaps notify them you might be making those transfers. Quite often the maximum amount you can do on an online payment is sometimes 10k, but you can get those limits upped, but it's something that's always a little bit more difficult to do when you're abroad.
Sure. So
I'd say planning is key, making sure that you've got all the necessary paperwork in place. And making sure you've got a broker essentially that you can rely on, that getting an understanding of where your kind of spread will be at before you execute it, and just, as I say, getting all the paperwork in line is crucial.
That's great.